Good morning, Mr. Palmer. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, John.
You were
How are you
looking
doing?
down. You couldn't even notice what I did. That's all edited now. I don't have to do any buttons. I don't have to worry about it. It's going to be that exact same intro every time. I finally got smart.
I
Believe
love
me.
it.
Yeah. So I had to make sure the drum got in there, and that's Mr. Palmer's happy spot right there. So
Yes, when we get the drum, I'm happy. There's
exactly. So it's a good day for the those of us in the ruckus world and who like new technology because I'm looking at a nice little bit of information that came out not that long ago, hot off the presses, if you will. You want to talk about it?
right. Hot off the presses, there's a press release about a new Ruckus AP that's been launched. And to make it even more fun, it's a Wi-Fi 7 AP.
That's pretty
So
awesome.
yay. Now
Hold
when
on,
now
hold on.
now's
I
when you
have
need
that.
to yeah,
Where's
get
the?
your soundboard out, John.
There we go. I fixed that too. Oh, that's a really awesome thing. It's Wi-Fi 7. I can't believe it. We spent so much time talking about 6E and 7's already here. So what do we got today?
Well, so I have connections because I'm
Yeah,
kind
you
of a
do.
good I'm a big man in my own head in my own world, and so so I was able to actually get a hold of the product manager, product owner of the R770, and said, "Hey, can you come do a podcast episode with us real quick? I know it's a busy day. I know you got a lot of stuff going on, but I was able to get Tofu Lu, who is the product Tofu. I'll let you introduce yourself, Tofu. What are you?
Yeah, hi, Jim and Jeff. Thanks for inviting me. I'm Tuofu. I'm the product manager for Wi-Fi APs here at the RUCKUS. So I joined the RUCKUS over 2 years ago. So yeah, it's a very exciting day. So we're announcing the first Wi-Fi 7 enterprise AP.
Awesome. So this is we've been John and I have been talking about Wi-Fi 7 for a few months now. Talked to number of different people and so it's actually nice now to actually have a product, not just this because everything that we've talked about up to this point has all been theoretical, and we've been reading the specs, and we've been reading the pre-standard stuff for what 802.11b is going to be. So now is a great day because now the engineers like John and I now have something we can put our hands on.
It actually gets a little bit real. Not a little bit actually. I'm a big proponent. I mean, I remember working on talks for conferences that have come and gone, and as much as we're talking about 6E, we were talking about 7 being right on the corner, and we've had so many customers put it on kind of on pause because why are we going to go 6E if 7's right here? And at the time, it seemed like it was such a long way away, and here it is. The R770 is officially official. So it's pretty cool, pretty exciting. I'm not going to lie. So jumping right in, since you're the product owner of this wonderful new device, let's talk some of the specs. I'm a customer. I want to be, getting in on the latest and greatest. What can we expect out of this AP?
Yeah, so R770 is a tri-band AP, 2.4 gigahertz, 5 gigahertz, and 6 gigahertz can running at the same time. It is fully backward compatible with Wi-Fi 6E. It supports Wi-Fi 7 in all three frequency bands. So overall, the maximum physical data rate can reach 12 gigabits per second. Also, for this AP, we also have a dual band configuration. And for countries who have not supported 6 gigahertz band yet, so dual band configuration will support Wi-Fi 7 in both bands, can reach maximum physical data rate of 6.5 gigabits per second. So in terms of RF configuration for the tri-band, we support 2 by 2 in 2.4 gigahertz, 4 by 4 in 5 gigahertz, and 2 by 2 in 6 gigahertz band. For the dual band configuration, we support 2 by 2 in 2.4 gigahertz and 4 by 4 in 5 gigahertz. So this is the RF configuration. So in addition to the RF, we support the RUCKUS proprietary advantage performance features such as beam flex, PDMRC, channel fly, and smart mesh. So we keep these RUCKUS proprietary features in this AP. And also for the 6 gigahertz band, we support both low power indoor and standard power with AFC. And we also have a proprietary indoor locationing scheme to support AFC operation. So in addition, so we have a backhaul of 10 gigabits per second Ethernet, and also have another 1 gigabits per second auxiliary port. For power supply, we support PoE in on the AO2.3 BT class 5 on the 10 gig Ethernet port, and also a 48 volt external DC power. So we also have a one IoT radio on the board. This new IoT radio can support either BoE or ZigBee. It's a programmable, and it is Matter and Thread capable. So we also have a USB port that can support additional IoT radio. So on the security side, we support TPM 2.0. So in the past, in our Wi-Fi 6, Wi-Fi 6E APs, we support TPM 1.2. So this for R770, we support TPM 2.0. So one major advantage of TPM 2.0 is it can store much longer encryption keys. And we added a new feature called Secure Boot, which was not in our Wi-Fi 6E AP. Secure Boot, basically, if a hacker hacks into your booting software, so that malware will not be able to run with the Secure Boot feature. And we also introduced our new DPSK3 feature. So this is a brand new feature. So marry our traditional DPSK with WPA3, supported in all 3 frequency bands. So DPSK3. And in addition, we also support FIPS 140-3. So these are the security features we support. Also, on the environment side, we support -10 to 50 degrees Celsius. So a lot of indoor APs on the market only support from 0 to 40. So our R770 support -10 to 50 degrees Celsius. On the controller management side, we will support Smart Zone 7.0 and the RUCKUS One and the Unleashed. So these are the summary of the R770.
Nice. That's a lot.
I already filled up my page of notes. I mean, what are we? We're 9 minutes in, and I got to go to a second page of notes. So this is going to be an interesting one.
You need a larger notepad, Mr. Palmer. But that is a lot. I mean, that's comprehensive to say the least. You know, I think it's, yeah. I mean, I just, there's a lot to take in there. It's a lot to digest. For those of you listening, because it is an exciting announcement, there will be a link in the show notes that we will put there that makes that product announcement a lot easier to find.
Well, the product announcement, and there's also a new web page for the R770, so they will have the data sheet there. You can go look at it if you weren't like me and furiously writing notes as Tofu was running through all the different features. I mean, this really sounds like, I mean, we didn't really pull a whole lot of punches on this one, did we? I mean, it was,
safe to say this is our flagship.
It is. It's so between the 10 gig Ethernet, the low power indoor and standard power, and then the IoT stuff, and then lots of security features. I have to say I'm very happy and surprised that we did go pretty heavy on the security stuff. Is that something you can explain a little bit more between like the TPM 2.0 and the secure boot? Because I mean, there might be a lot of people that don't understand exactly what that means, or what does that give us to have those types of features into an AP like the R770?
Yeah. So for TPM 2.0, so TPM 1.2, for example, we program a 2000 bits a key, a 2K key, right? For TPM 2.0, we potentially could program encryption key to 3,000 bits. So that increased the security. There are some other security improvement from TPM 2.0 to TPM 1.2. So secure boot is that we program a key during the manufacturing for secure boot. So when somebody hack into our booting software, so it will check, the software will check and finding it's a malware. So the booting software, the malware will not be able to run. So that's another aspect we enhance our security. So on the security side, but in addition, so that the biggest one is DPSK3, right? So we enable DPSK in the past on WPA2. Now it is on WPA3 in all 3 frequency bands. So this is a very exciting feature for the R770. And FIPS 140-3, that's required by the federal government. So we'll be able to support FIPS 140-3 for the federal government.
I'm just going to clarify this to make sure that I understand what we're talking about. So, FIPS, for those who don't know, is a federal standard about, especially around security stuff and how networks are built for, like governments and, Department of Defenses, people like that. And part of the thing that, they really focus on is these, being able to make sure that the devices that they buy and the devices they use are actually, coming from the manufacturers who make them. Because there's, if you ever heard about counterfeit switches or counterfeit APs, that's part of it. The other thing I'd like to highlight, and is something that I'm pretty sure that I know John doesn't know, but we recently got a thing from the federal government or from the German government talking about these 3,000 bit keys because if you don't know, the more bits you have, in your key, then the harder it is to crack and the longer it is to crack. So it's really kind of exciting from that aspect when we look at it, especially in the news of all these different hacks and all these different types of breaches and all these other things going on. It's nice to know that, we've sort of upped the standard, I guess, or met that high standard that's been set by FIPS and other types of governments around the world of saying, hey, we need to have this stuff that's very secure. And the DPSK3, for those who don't know, John can probably fill us in a little bit more on this one after his presentation at WLPC this past February. The DPSK is a really cool RUCKUS feature, and with WPA3, it changes how that operates a little bit. And so the DPSK3 is something that we can now talk about again a little bit more about how we can offer that same functionality, but with WPA3 and not WPA2. So
I'm not going to talk about that on the show, but maybe a February appearance, maybe
another one, February 2.0.
I am a glutton for punishment. So speaking of glutton for punishment, I have to ask, right? So this is like the 800-pound elephant in the room. If it's an 800-pound elephant, I guess it's a skinny guy. But so AFC is a critical piece for 6 gigahertz for standard power. And as we all know, we've been waiting, and that still hasn't been a thing yet. So I know we've been hearing more recently that it's close. Without getting into anything that's under NDA or privileged information, just kind of curious, when do you think we might be able to actually take advantage of the standard power features?
Yeah, so based on our current projection, based on everything we see, all the activities from FCC, we projecting the AFC is targeting to be launched in December this year. So that's our current projection. So it's probably already 1 year late. So original projection was December last year. So it's about 1 year late. So hopefully FCC can successfully launch AFC in December this year. So everybody has been waiting for it for the, to maximize the 6 gigahertz band, usage of 6 gigahertz band. So yeah, right now we're looking at December this year.
So basically, with the new hardware coming, because we know this is just the tip of the iceberg, and AFC right around the corner, hopefully. Not that 2023 is over yet, but it looks like 2024 is going to be a really exciting year for Wi-Fi.
Yes. So So for Wi-Fi 7, as I mentioned, Wi-Fi 7 is fully backward compatible with Wi-Fi 6E. And also, it is a new Wi-Fi standard. So for customers to buy a Wi-Fi 7 AP is truly future-proof. In addition, Wi-Fi 7, all the features, the new features Wi-Fi 7 brings will also improve user experience in many of the segments, vertical segments that we serve.
So that's a nice segue. Thank you for that. Because we have talked to a lot of people about Wi-Fi 7, and we've talked to I've done a lot of presentations on Wi-Fi 7, and so I have a good idea about these new features that are coming and which ones. But I'm curious, as somebody who has been in charge of building an AP for to support Wi-Fi 7, you have to know a little bit about these features. What are some of the new features about the R7 or about Wi-Fi 7 with the R770 that you're most interested in and you're most excited about seeing, especially once we can get this deployed and get it into the hands of our customers and get them running? What features are you most interested and excited about?
And that's a great question, Jim. So we are excited about several features in Wi-Fi 7. The key features. So first of all, so every time there's a new Wi-Fi standard, so people always ask, is there a speed improvement, right? So every Wi-Fi generation, there is a Wi-Fi speed and throughput improvement. So Wi-Fi 7 is no exception. So Wi-Fi 7, there are two areas that was improved to improve the throughput of Wi-Fi 7. One is in the 6 gigahertz band. The standard increased the bandwidth from 160 megahertz to 320 megahertz. So that doubled the throughput in the 6 gigahertz band. The other technique introduced is 4K QAM. 4K QAM is a new modulation scheme introduced in all 3 frequency bands. So 4K QAM increased the peak throughput by 20%. So combining these two, so for Wi-Fi 7, as I mentioned, give you an example, if you have a 4x4 plus 4x4 plus 4x4 AP, you can reach 19 gigabits per second maximum file data rate. For a 2x2 plus 2x2 plus 2x2 AP, you can reach close to 10 gigabits per second physical data rate. So that's a significant increase compared to Wi-Fi 6. So this is on the speed side, on the throughput side. The other very interesting feature is called punctured transmission. So ever since Wi-Fi started in 1999 with Apple iBook G3. So when a client device, for example, your laptop wants to communicate, send a packet to the AP, if there's an interference in that frequency channel, you either have to wait until that interference goes away, or you have to transmit very small narrow frequency band to send the data to the AP. So for example, if you have 80 megahertz band, if there is a interference in the channel, you either have to wait until interference goes away, or in some cases, you can choose a 20 megahertz channel to send data to the AP. So that makes the whole system inefficient. So in terms of when there's an interference. So punctured transmission as a new feature in Wi-Fi 7 basically allow you continue to transmit data without in the presence of interference. For example, if you have an 80 megahertz channel, when you transmit the data in Wi-Fi 7, if there is a 20 megahertz interference in that channel, you don't have to wait. You can use the rest of 60 megahertz to continue transmitting data from your laptop to the AP. So that significantly improves the entire system efficiency. So now you don't have to wait if there's an interference. So it's called a punctured transmission. The other exciting feature is called multi-link operation. So for the past 24 years, so for Wi-Fi, when a laptop or for a mobile phone want to send the data to the AP, or AP sends data to the client device, you're either using 2 gigahertz band, 2.4 gigahertz band, or 5 gigahertz band, or recently 6 gigahertz band. You only have one link between a client device and the AP. So multi-link operations for the first time in the Wi-Fi standard to allow the client and AP to talk to each other using two frequency links. So for example, you can have a 2 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz communicating between the client device and the AP at the same time, or 2 gigahertz and 6 gigahertz link between AP and client device at the same time, or 5 gigahertz and 6 gigahertz communicate between the AP and the client at the same time. So it allows two physical links between the AP and client devices. So it's called multi-link operations. So what are the benefits of multi-link operations? First one is the throughput. So imagine if you go from point A to point B, if you have only one bridge, so the throughput is the throughput capacity of that bridge. Now, if you build another bridge, you have two bridges to go from A to B, your throughput doubles, because you have two bridges. So you basically potentially double the throughput, increase the throughput using the multi-link operation. The other advantage of multi-link operations, which we think is even more important, is latency. So imagine you go from A to B, there's only one bridge. If that bridge is congested, so you are out of luck. You have to follow the traffic on that bridge, slowly go from A to B. Now you have two bridges from A to B. If bridge number one is congested, you can choose bridge number two to go from A to B. If bridge number two is congested, you can go using bridge number one to go from A to B. So potentially you can go from A to B faster. That significantly reduces the latency. So if you connecting your laptop with AP using both 2 gigahertz band and 5 gigahertz band, if your 2 gigahertz band has interference, you can choose send your data through the 5 gigahertz band from your laptop to the AP. If the 5 gigahertz band is congested, you can choose 2.4 gigahertz band to send your data from your laptop to the AP. So that significantly reduce the latency. So by reducing the latency, you really help applications like gaming, Zoom calls, Microsoft Teams calls, these video calls, AR, VR, these latency sensitive applications. So that's the benefits of multi-link operation. The other one we think is also important is the QoS improvement. So there are a lot of small QoS improvement in many features that learned from Wi-Fi 6 deployment in the field. So together, all these smaller improvements in these features together improve the overall user experience by using Wi-Fi. So these are the major improvements in Wi-Fi 7. In terms of Wi-Fi 7 features.
You know, I'll tell you, the one that I'm the most excited about is the multi-link operation. And I was actually having a conversation with an SE just right before we jumped on this call. And he was talking about, he had some questions about the multi-link operation. I told him, I said, the thing that I'm looking forward to the most is the ability of the client, like you were talking about, to be able to pick. Is that it's having a little bit more intelligence instead of just saying, I'm just going to pick this link for whatever random, reason that I've been programmed to do. It almost, to me, it feels like our clients are now becoming actually a part of the infrastructure, part of the network, as opposed to just saying, I'm going to do whatever I want. So this idea that clients are going to pay attention and, look at, hey, which link is the best for me to send my data on? That's the one I'm most excited about. And a side note I want to throw in here for all the rest of the listeners, Tuofu mentioned doing 4K QAM in all three bands. But I will caution you that if you think you're going to get 4K QAM at 2.4 gigahertz in anything other than a lab, it's probably not going to happen. So that massive speed increase at 2.4 is probably not going to happen. Just to throw that disclaimer out there.
It reminds
me that's right. As I mentioned, 4K QAM increased speed by 20%. So since in 2.4 gigahertz, the overall speed is already low. So the 20% increase may not sound that much, but for 5 gigahertz and 6 gigahertz, because their bandwidth can reach 5 gigahertz can reach 160 megahertz, 6 gigahertz now can reach 320 megahertz. That extra 20% is actually a lot. That's right,
yeah.
Jim.
Yeah.
And it reminds me, Jim, you might have thought of this too. And I remember it came up at Field Day back over whatever it was, July, I guess, or maybe May. There was a sheet. Well, you were there, so you'd know. But there was a slide that we shared that showed like the max theoretical and the max like real world expected. And I can't remember if that was for 6E or for 7, but something like that is a great thing to look at just to get your set your expectations.
We call it good put, and it was 4K QAM. But the thing that we kind of breezed over is the spatial streams. There's not a 16 spatial stream device. So, most your device is going to be 2 spatial streams. And so we're looking at a good put of like 5 gigabits per second, which is a 2 spatial stream, 4K QAM on a 320 megahertz wide channel. So, that's going to get you that 5 gig. And if 5 gig doesn't do you for one laptop talking to one AP, then go get yourself some cable.
Yeah, I mean, this is when you get a bunch of us at a conference, the term's been thrown around a lot, and I like to use it. It's drag racing a bus. A lot of the max speeds and what you see on the boxes, it's the max theoretical. It could be done in a lab. It's like one device on Earth that can actually hit those speeds. And the reality is, for most end users, the devices that are out now. No, I mean, this is not my sales pitch, but the devices that are out now are fast enough. What this is really giving us, just my opinion and piling on a little bit, things like puncturing and MLO, it's allowing us to use what we have more efficiently because we've proven time and time again, 2.4 and 5, hopefully for a while, not 6, but we've proven time and time again that we can really make a mess of the spectrum collectively as people. You turn on a scanner in a neighborhood and it's a mess. So it's the efficiency is what I think is going to help boost performance more than anything else, but we'll see. So pivoting a little bit, this is kind of an open-ended question, Tofu. I obviously support some larger companies. Jim is not an SC, so he supports everybody. Is there a customer, is there a vertical, a sector, an industry, whatever you want to call it, that you see focusing on the R770? And if so, why? And for that matter, taking it a little bit further, maybe since you were heavily involved with its kind of conception and birth, if you will, was there a particular segment that the team really saw as sort of the bread and butter sweet spot for this particular AP?
Yeah, so we think Wi-Fi 7, because of these new features, is going to be enhanced user experience in many of the verticals, so such as hospitality, education, high density venues, large public venues, and also in multi-dwelling units. So for example, for hospitality, so for hospitality, basically the goal is to improve guest experience, right? For business people, they probably rely on the hotel complimentary Wi-Fi for work, for video conferencing, for leisure guests. So probably they will play games, stream videos, access online, hotel online content in their hotel rooms. So Wi-Fi 7 will benefit, in hospitality because of the feature I just mentioned, low latency and reliability in connection, also the capacity as well for this video streaming. And in education, we think it will support, provide a seamless supported learning environment. And with the capacity as I mentioned, in the 6 gigahertz band, and we'll be able to connect more users and classrooms to stream videos, collaborate in shared documents and assignments in an education environment, and also supporting online classes. So in large public venue, for example, airport, convention centers, stadiums, arenas, so the improved capacity, especially in the 6 gigahertz band, and will allow more user to actually for streaming, the concerts, sporting events, right? And also upload their social media content, ordering food, during the matches, and also enable the facilities of these venues to have, to get valuable data insights and analytics, to improve their operational efficiency. So Wi-Fi 7 will be able to help in the large public venue sector. So in multi-dwelling units and also it's apartments. So basically you have less interference, from multiple users in different apartments, as I mentioned. punctured transmission. And also the multi-link operation will help improve this gaming experience for remote workers. You'll be able to work from home with a reliable video conferencing and then talking to friends and family using video. So that will improve user experience in the multi-dwelling units as well. So Wi-Fi 7 will be able to touch many of the verticals. I list these four as an example.
Awesome. So I know you're busy, and because today is a big day for you. You know, this has been a long time coming, and I know from a lot of internal emails and everything that this is something you've been working on for a long time. So I want to let you get back into managing this day. But before we go, I want to ask you, what final message or thought that you would want listeners to take away from this announcement of the R770. You've been watching this thing and nurturing it and growing it for so long. What's the one thing you'd want people to take away from our conversation today about the R770?
Yeah. So Wi-Fi itself is an ecosystem. It consists of APs and client devices. Every time there's a new Wi-Fi standards coming out, the interoperability between the AP and client device is extremely important. So during the past year, RUCKUS has been actively working with the external organization interoperability tests between our Wi-Fi 7 AP and a variety of Wi-Fi 7 client devices. So to make sure we have good interoperability with, for example, laptops and mobile phones. And in addition, during the past year, RUCKUS has been actively working with major client ecosystem partners directly to make sure interoperability between our Wi-Fi 7 AP and our partners' Wi-Fi 7 client devices. So we have done a lot of work on interoperability between our AP and client devices. So as Jim mentioned, so if you are interested in our Wi-Fi 7 and our R770 AP, you can go to RUCKUSNetworks.com. And there's a Wi-Fi 7 page containing a lot of information, including detailed technical white paper. And also we have a weekly Wi-Fi 7 blogs there. And there will be a lot more content coming. So overall, Wi-Fi 7 is here. So why not give it a try? So if you are interested, please reach out to RUCKUS sales representative in your region. Yeah, so it's an exciting day. Yeah, so thank you very much.
No, I'm glad to have you, Tuofu. And thank you again. I know, like Jim said, it's a hectic day. It's almost like giving birth to a child, except your child is a sort of a square with a bunch of silicon in it, and that just we went off the rails. Jim, it took us almost the whole episode. The whole episode, we almost made it without going off the rails, and I just took it.
Oh, that's true. Well, I mean, normally you don't hang your baby from the ceiling, but
yeah, well, sometimes you do, but you don't know. So on that note, just in the interest of time, since Tuofu is really, really busy, and I don't know that I have anything else, right? I can't wait to get my hands on our R770. More importantly, I can't wait to get my hands on a Wi-Fi 7 client. That's a whole different story. That's a stray dog for down the road. I have nothing else, so I'm going to say thank you, Tuofu. Jim, I don't know if you have any parting thoughts.
Thank you, Tuofu, for taking some time out of your day to chat with us real quick.
Yeah, thanks, John. Thanks, Jimmy. And once again, thank you for inviting me.
Oh, no problem. And on that note, I'll see everybody on the next episode.